Get a database and ask them, just tell them. You said lightning don't never strike down. Those that ran away got married in a faraway town. And traveled all over just to see what they could see. But it weren't too long till they came back home and decided to settle on down. And they built them a house in the shade of that old elm tree. Down the island is like an elm tree. You said lightning don't never strike down. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. Tim Fralick over here on this side. I'm Jack Houston. We'll be back with you in a little bit, but
how y'all doing today? Boy, Jack Houston, he sure puts on a good show. Thank you, Jack. You know, today's colors that we're supposed to be wearing are red and yellow. Now, in my days prior to entering into the financial service industry, I was in the chemical business, and what we learned was different industries have different colors to associate with, and the chemical industry looks upon barrels that were yellow and red as being ones of pesticide. I think that's only appropriate as we're looking to eradicate and be the bug spray to get the pest out of Washington. Can you hear us now, Mr. President? The gift is in the giving, and it truly is. When government takes over compassion, when we are subject to mandatory compassion through taxation, we come to the realization that a dollar given from the heart can go 10 times as far as one taken from taxes, and government cannot do it as well as free market economics. We send our congressmen to Washington with $1. Let them come back with 95 cents and we're ready to fire them. We want everybody to cut taxes, but somewhere else. Congress has an approval ratio now of what, about 20% or less? But each of our own congressmen wouldn't even be voted in office if we didn't have at least a 50% opinion of them. So what it is we have condemnation for Congress, but it's always somebody else's congressman's fault. The reality is we're sending them up there to spend our money, and each one is trying to do for their own. The system is broken. We've got too many people that have gone there with the best of intentions and are really becoming career politicians. If a company has disproportionate profits, the short time that they will be able to enjoy those disproportionate profits before they invite competition is minuscule compared to the lifelong involvement of the government when they try to, quote, help. Do you know, when they get involved in a company, they don't realize how they can stifle that company. But you know, I think they do. When you see the cost of cigarettes go up because of taxation, they say that's a good thing, because that means taxation through sin tax means that you'll use less of it, and see, you'll be healthier. Then they say it's okay for your taxes to go up on booze, and now they're saying it's okay for your taxes to go up on things such as coal and fuel, because if you use less of it, see, it saves the planet, it's a good thing. But then they turn around and they say that taxation on small business, that's going to help them. You can't have it both ways. We have such a condemnation for our small business owners. They employ 70% of all new jobs in the United States, and we are stifling them. We are setting up roadblocks that tell them, don't hire anybody, because if you do, you're going to pay more for their medical expenses. You're going to pay more for fuel. We have now a president who believes that capitalism is a zero-sum game. I have $1, you have $1. Now you have it, now I have it. Now if I have it too long, or if I have too many, you have to take it from me and fairly give it to someone else. What kind of sense does that make? Capitalism is not an expletive. It's not zero-sum game. True capitalism has all winners and no losers. If you went in business with me to open up a donut shop and I took $300 worth of flour, sugar, eggs, and water, and I turned it into $1,000 worth of donuts every day, that other $700, I get to pay the lease on my equipment, the electric bill, I get to pay my employees a salary, I get to give my investors back money. You want to tell me who I hurt? Mr. Smith comes by and gets a cup of coffee and my no-spill cup and a donut and moves down the road. Who did I hurt? Capitalism is not a zero-sum game. It creates prosperity, and this country has survived on it. And we are starting to go the way of the Soviet Union. I challenge you all tonight, when you get home tonight, go on to Wikipedia and look up the interpretation, the English version of the Soviet Constitution. I studied it. I've studied our Constitution. Our Constitution has a Bill of Rights. Their Constitution has entitlements. You're entitled to. Each one of their amendments, they refer to them as articles. Each one of their articles have been slowly adapted through social programs, one at a time, Social Security. You might not have a lot withheld from your federal income tax. You've got to pay Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, but you think, I don't pay a lot of federal income tax, so I don't really care. The reality is, we all pay taxes. Somebody has sold us on the idea that corporations don't pay their fair share, and they need to be taxed more. You know what? If you have an executive who makes $200,000 a year and he has a secretary who makes $20,000 a year, if they both use $2,000 a year worth of gasoline, that represents 1% of his income. It represents 10% of her income. So you want to tell me how that proportionately taxes us correctly? That makes no sense at all. And when you hear about John Kerry raising taxes on gasoline 7 times, and now we're talking about windfall profit tax at one time. Thank goodness they're not talking about that anymore because they thought Exxon's profits were disproportionate. Keep taxing that secretary. Explain to me how corporate taxations cannot disproportionately rip off the smallest earners in the United States. If I have a Coke can, and hypothetically, I'm in a room, let's say I made $40,000 a year, and I'm in a room with 25 other people that make $40,000 a year. Our combined income is $1 million a year. We each bought this can of Coke from a Coke machine for $1. Standing right next to us is a guy who makes $1 million a year. Can he drink 40 times his weight in Cokes? The answer is no. So when you tax the company that makes the ink that goes on that can, the aluminum extrusion company, the people that made the syrup that went into the can, the box that it was carried in, the people that sold it at the grocery store, and everyone involved in the profit, because those corporations need to pay their fair share. The reality is the math never works out. Corporations have never paid taxes. They're only tax collectors of the people who buy their goods and or services. I want those endorphins back. When I give to my neighbor because they're in need, I'm helping them. I want to have that back. Right now, what we have is government is our competitor for compassion. They are taking over compassion for retirement. We don't need to take care of our parents, government is. They're taking over our compassion for medical. They're taking over our compassion for all aspects of our lives through Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, and it takes God out of our lives because God knew what he was doing. The gift is in the giving, and we need to get that back. Ladies and gentlemen, it is great that we've all come out. I've never been to a protest in my life. I went to a local Tea Party, but this has really been my first involvement in something like this. We need to get back to the sensible physical responsibilities that made us the great nation that we are today. We have compassion. We're the most giving nation in the world. We don't want to look at those who are in need with disdain. We want to help our neighbors, and we want to get back to having those endorphins for a job well done. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the right track, and we can make a difference. I appreciate it, and thank you all so much for coming out. Y'all keep up the good work.
Not government options, but real options. Those are the things that we know work. The President of the United States is going to be on this campus.
You had to depend on them. They've also taken away our guns.